Okay, well, I'm going to start off this presentation. Hey everyone, and thank you guys for joining. Welcome to our next generation VAX webinar. My name is Aaliyah Picanso, and I'm the Product Marketing Specialist at Vicon. Before we start, I just wanted to quickly address the current COVID-19 situation. I and everyone at Vicon sincerely hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and indoors. We know these are uncertain times, so I just wanted to assure everyone that Vicon remains fully operational to make sure your operations don't suffer. Our support, our sales, and our warehouse teams continue to work hard around the clock to provide you with any assistance that you may need. We've decided to focus more on webinars right now, as many of you are in lockdown or working from home, and our hope is to begin introducing you to some of the developments we wanted to showcase during ISD West, and also to provide you with more insight to our upcoming products. Today's presentation will review several advancements and updates that we've made to our VAX platform that will ultimately enhance your user experience and ensure the success of your surveillance operation. It's going to be presented by Hui Lai, our applications engineer. If you have any questions during the presentation, don't forget to type them in the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. We'll have some time for these questions at the end of the presentation. You guys will also find a handout in that control panel that you can download and that will provide further information on VAX. Lastly, if you have a moment at this time next week, we'll be hosting a webinar on our latest version of the video management system, Volaris. So please tune in for that. And we can begin the presentation. So Vicon has been a leader and innovator in the security industry for over 50 years. These days, we're known for providing end-to-end solutions from video management software like Volaris, analog and network cameras, and of course, our VAX access control. All of these products can either stand alone or work seamlessly together to give you the ability to customize your security options the way you see fit. Now I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Hui Lai, who is the applications engineer at Vicon. We hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy out there. Now I'll pass it off to Hui.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank you first for joining our VAX webinar. Today, what I'd like to do is give an overview introduction and highlight some key new features of our upcoming new VAX software, currently called 2.9.92, but that name may be subject to change. Before this, I'd like to do a quick introduction about our VAX access control, especially for those of you who may not be as familiar with the product. Firstly, VAX is a fully IP-based software hardware access control solution. Vicon provides an end-to-end solution for access control, including server with software installed on it, the door panels, a variety of door panels, including PoE-powered 1 or 2 door panels, as well as a multi-door 8-door unit, as well as IOs and elevator boards. We have a very user-friendly navigation software, and the software itself actually is browser-based. So there's no software to install on the client. You as a client on the computer just browse to a page IP address of the server and you'll be served the user interface for the software. We also provide a variety of readers, including prox readers, mark card readers, and also Bluetooth readers where your credentials is actually on your phone inside an app. So with that, I'd like to go over today's agenda. Some of the new key features of the software, new software include notification settings, WebPush, data migrator, some new actions in our action engine, and a VAX Mobile app. The notification settings. So this is a new menu inside VAX. that allows you to um, go and customize certain settings. It's replacing the former administrator settings in your current VAX system, which had alert, email, and live camera settings. With the notification settings now, you can create, modify, and remove notifications. In essence, you're customizing exactly how and what notifications you want to appear on the notifications sidebar. And we'll go and see this once we go through the demo. The notifications run through a series of different sets of rules that you can apply to for all users, global, or for administrator for yourself. So that way you can customize the notification just for yourself or for all people who log into the system. These are rules that apply for notifications that appear real time and also notifications that you send by email or WebPush. There's now something called notification styles, which allows you to customize your notification, including background color, the image shown when a specific notification appears, and also even include sound file if you like. Live camera rule. So with VAX, we have an integration, video integration with, of course, our Video Valeris and Viconnect softwares. So we can associate any cameras from VMS to doors. And with the live camera rule, you can now specify what notification needs to appear before the camera pops up. And lastly, the real-time notifications, you can actually place rules into groups where you can select a group of notifications to appear on your screen. Again, this can be applied for your own login administrator, or you can apply the groups for global for anyone who logs into the system. So now we'll talk about WebPush. WebPush allows VAX notifications to be pushed to your device using a web browser. You can specify rules, again, in the notification settings to have certain notifications be pushed out as web pushes. What will happen is when you set up web push, a alert style message will slide and appear on the top or bottom right hand corner of your desktop, even when your browser is minimized. So this allows you to be able to monitor or get an alert of a specific event that you choose, even when you're not actively monitoring it through the web browser. WebPush is a service that's supported by Chrome, Safari, and Firefox browsers, and requires that the VAX server be connected to the internet for that service, and also requires a valid SSL certificate. The next new feature for VAX is called Data Migrator. So in the current VAX software, when you have set up what's called partitions, and you have panels and doors under partitions, if you want to move a panel from one partition to another, let's say you have a couple of buildings and you want to move a group of panels from one partition to another, you're unable to do that unless you actually just delete the panels and start over. With the data migrator, it enables export and import data between partitions and systems. So now within your VAX, you can take different elements of your VAX system and you can export it to a file, and you can actually use that same settings and import it into another partition, or you can even import it into another VAX system. So all the specific data like users, crisis levels, access groups, devices and schedulings, cameras and action plans, all these can be exported, again, between one or more multiple partitions or different systems. And then from the export file, you can import all or multiple data from one partition to another partition. Action plans. So action plans is a very powerful system in VAX where it allows you to be able to create multiple different customizable actions and string them together. You can have over 40 different customizable actions that you can string together in one action plan. It allows you to do things like lock down multiple doors at the same time, send an email alert, activate an alarm system. With the new actions, we have some new actions now included in this the software, the new software version, including setting door time zone, setting floor time zone, and these are the schedules for the doors and for floors in an elevator, enabling or disabling an action trigger. And we can also use an action plan to get information about areas, doors, users, and use that information for another action plan. We can also purge notifications that's in your database. And within an action plan, you can also run another action plan as well. Triggers. So triggers are the way that you would run an action. Typically, a trigger would be some hard system, for example, like a panic button or a relay. So some new triggers that you can use to set off to start running an action includes door overridden. So if you override your door to, let's say, a lockdown, you can use that to activate an action plan. Door resumed, again, is a new trigger that can run an action plan. Door crisis level, door prevented from unlocking, door time zone changed, and panel updated, and user area changed. So lastly, we have a new VAX mobile app coming, and these are free VAX apps that you can download for your iOS or for Androids. With the VAX app, you can actually program it and save multiple sites, so you can access multiple sites on your VAX app at the same time. Some key functions that you can do within the app is override doors, elevator floors, inputs and outputs. You can view recent door notifications, and you can also run action plans that you've programmed in the VAX system. So these are all the key new features of the software. And with that, what I'd like to do now is to go into the software itself and give you a demonstration. So let's start off with notification settings. So as I mentioned, notification settings is a way now for you to customize notifications. These are on the right side here. These are all the notifications that you receive. So for example, when somebody enters a door, swipes a card, you see them swiping their card, you see the door unlocking, locking. If you have a access denied, again, you see the notifications. So all these notifications appear on the right side. With the current VAX system, you're not able to customize or filter these notifications. Basically, any event that occurs in VAX will appear in the notification menu. With the notification settings menu now, what you're able to do is you can click on notification settings, and now you can create filters or customizations. So you can set up rules on what kind of notifications you want to appear in the sidebar there. So you can see here it's broken up into real-time, email, web push, and database. So I'll talk about real-time first. First of all, when you set up a notification setting, you set it up for each partition that you have in your VAX system. So currently I have 3 partitions, and my door and panel is currently in this partition called building 1. Right now, the real time you see here, it says notification type any, time is any, and yes. So I'm currently on my default to receive all notifications. If I want to only see specific notification, what I can do is click on add here. The first thing I'm allowed to do is I can choose this as a global or administrator. So global meaning anyone who logs into the VAX system will have this rule implemented. Administrator means only myself. So I'll just choose administrator for now. Group, if you want to include these rules in a specific group, then you can type in a group here, and then click add the group. And then the notification category, you can choose which type of notifications you want to filter. For example, these are the different types of notifications like door lock states, door overrides. So anything that you want to have notification for. For example, if I click on door override state, under that, I can see the notification types. I have different notifications for the override state, including auto, manual, time resumed. So any one of these options that I want to have appear in the notifications, I can choose. If I want all of them, I can actually not even choose any, or if I need to choose one, then I can select individuals. You can also select so that you see notifications from specific panels and specific doors. So you can customize your notification to be, only display certain notifications for certain doors. Not only that, you can also restrict the time so you can set a schedule of when you want these notifications to appear. So as an example, I have notifications here. I set up a group called reader events. So with the reader events here, I've created so I can get reader access granted and reader access denied. So anytime these rules are applied, then you'll see the notification for that. What I can do here on the notification side is, since I created this group called reader events, I can go to my sidebar here and choose that group called reader events. So now when I swipe my card, you'll see that now I'm only getting the reader events. Before we were actually getting all events, including the fact that the door was opening and unlocking and locking. And remember, I set up the notification for reader access denied as well, so that would appear. So when I apply this group, any other events that occur in the VAX system will not appear in your notification. Okay. Again, you're setting up a group to filter only these events to appear. And again, you can filter this just for your own login, or you can also set up the groups for global. So anybody that logs into the system can have access to these groups. And not only will these groups apply in the main menu here, but also in the monitoring menu. This is a way for us to only see certain events here without having to see all the VAX controls. So again, in the monitoring menu, I can choose to display all my notifications, or I can choose to display the group that I created called reader events. So if I choose reader events now, then I can see, again, only a card read that occurs without having to see all the other things like door locking, door unlocking. So that's one way that you can customize notification settings. Again, you can set up groups and filter out exactly the types of notifications that you want to see. The second thing that you can do is called styles. So styles is a way for us to be able to customize the look and sound of a specific event occurring. So for example, I'm going to show here, I'm going to add a style here. Let's say I want to have door unlock. So I'm going to choose door lock state here. And what I want to do is if a door is unlocked, and I can choose my specific door here. So I can specify that if my door here unlocks, then I can customize this to look and sound a certain way. The first thing I can do is I can actually choose a color for that event. So I have the whole color palette here that I can choose. So, I'll choose something like a blue color here. And then you can also attach a picture to that. So I'll go here and browse uh, this picture here. And then you can also attach a sound file to that. So I'm going to choose a sound here. So what I've done now is I've customized this specific notification, a door lock state specific for this door. And when it unlocks, then you'll see that icon in the specific color with this specific picture and sound occur. So I'm going to save that. So now I'm going to, again, swipe my card. And you see now I had an alert, my color change. So that's giving you, again, a specific customization just for that event. And you can have as many of these styles as you want and as many events um, uh, invoking these different styles. So you can see that it's very highly customizable. And you can do this again just for your own login, or you can do it for uh, any user who logs into the system. The next thing is live camera. So again, VAX integrates with VMS systems, Valeris, Vicnet, and other VMS systems as well. And when we associate a camera to a door, with the notification settings now with this live camera tab, I can specify what event I want to occur to invoke a camera pop-up. So in this case, what I can do is I can say if I have a reader access denied, and again, these are the different types of access denied conditions. I want to choose all of them so I don't have to check off any of them. And then I'll save this now. So now that I have set the live camera for that condition, hold on here. So I had an access denied condition, and now it pops up my camera. And this is a camera that or video that I've associated with this door. So again, any camera that you associate with the door that is occurring will pop up. And again, you can see that I was able to create that pop-up again using this live camera rule. The next thing I'd like to show in notification settings is WebPush. So or actually I'll mention WebPush in a second. Email. So again, we've gone over real-time notifications that appear on the sidebar to the right. You can also, again, have notifications emailed to you. And it works the same way where you add a filter, you choose a partition, you choose the notifications that you want, and then you can have that emailed. The email will be sent to, if you set as administrator, then it'll be sent to your email address, and this is an email address that you've registered into the system. If you choose global, then anyone who's registered into the system with an email will be able to receive that notification as well. Database, so database stores all the notifications. By default, any notification that appears will be stored in VAX database, and VAX uses a SQL database. Again, by default, all the events will be stored in the database, but let's say that there's some events, for example, like door locking, door unlocking. You don't need those events to occur or to be saved, so you can filter out so it's not saved in the database. That way, when you go back to your reports, you can see events like door, when somebody goes through a door, but you can filter out so you don't see events that you don't need, for example, door locking, door unlocking. So with WebPush, again, I mentioned WebPush. The WebPush is a way for you to push out events, notifications to your desktop without having a browser open. First of all, you do need to set up WebPush or enable it, and it does have to be enabled through a browser like Chrome or Firefox or Safari. So I'll show you here, I have my Chrome browser opened, and where you enable that web push is through administrator settings. And here you can see web push. So I've subscribed to the service. If you unsubscribe, then that means you're disabling it. If you're subscribing it, that means now you're enabling the service. Again, you do need an internet connection for this to occur, because this is a browser-based function. It's actually sending the notification, routing it through the Chrome server itself, wherever it's hosted. So once you have the web push enabled, now you can create the rules. So I can set up again, go back to my notification settings, and I can choose web push. And right now, I have reader access denied here. So this is what I set up before. So I'm going to choose, again, reader access denied. And again, I can have it specific to a door, or I can leave it blank, and that would apply for all doors, all panels, all users. To enable it, I just click on accept. So now once I save that, so now if I get any reader denied access, I should get a pop-up on my desktop here. And you see that notification appears now on the bottom right, unknown user denied, and it pops up and then it'll go away. So that's how web push works. And again, this web push, you can have it appear for yourself or for anyone who logs on to the system, as long as they subscribe to the web push. The next thing that I'd like to cover is Data Migrator. So Data Migrator, as I mentioned in the presentation, there's the menu here. This allows you to essentially be able to choose any or all of the elements that's in your VAX system, and you can export that as a file, and then you can transfer those same settings to another VAX system or to another partition that's in your system. So the way I do that is I can just choose all, or I can choose any elements of my system, for example, crisis levels, users, access group, and then I can click export. Actually, let me go here. So once I click export, then I can, it'll save down as a download a file, and I can save that to my local computer. So here's the file, and I can save that to my local computer, or I can save it to a thumb drive. And then if I want to go to another system or within the same system, right now I chose to export all the elements of my building one partition. And if I want to import it to another partition or system, I can go import, and I can choose my export file. And now I can choose, okay, this is my partition that I exported from building one. I can choose uh, an existing partition that I want to move all my settings to, or I can create a new partition. And whatever I exported, again, I don't have to import. I can import all the elements from that exported file, or I can import whichever data elements that I want. For example, like crisis levels, users. So I can be very selective on what I export, or I can export all of my elements and be selective on what I import into another partition or into another system. So this data migrator is very useful. Again, for all of you who've asked us in the past, if I want to move my panels and doors from one partition to another, how can I do that? Unfortunately, until now we couldn't, but now with the data migrator, it makes that very easy. The next thing I'd like to cover is action plans. So action plans, again, is a way for us to set up customized actions. And I can go in here, and if I choose my action plan, you can see all the different things I can do. For example, I can override doors. I can set a door time zone. I can activate an IO. I can email. I can notify, send up a pop-up alert. So again, I can string all of these different actions into one action plan. And I can execute that action plan by clicking execute, or as I mentioned before, there's an action trigger where I can have a trigger, for example, a panic button, run a specific action plan. So some of the new action plans I mentioned in the presentation that we have now is, for example, like get doors. So if I get doors here, I can get a list of all my doors in the system, and I can say, okay, as a result of those doors, I can use an override function to override all those doors to lock down. Some of the other, again, new action plans that you have is we can also now set a door time zone. This is new. And the door time zone is basically the schedule of how your door acts. For example, like if you have the door set to card read only from 9 to 5, I can choose the door, and I can choose that time zone. Let's say I had from card access 9 to 5. Now I can use this action plan to change it to a different time zone. For example, always card access. I can also use an action plan, as I mentioned now, to do things like purge notifications. So for example, if you have a lot of notifications in your database and you want to be able to just press one button, you can choose purge notifications and specify how many days of notifications that you want to keep. And then you can run this action whenever you want, or you can have, again, a trigger run this action. And you can see I can string as many of these actions together that I want. So you can see action plan is very powerful, and we're always adding new actions to the action plans. And um, again, we're also not only adding actions, but we also add new triggers. So on the trigger side, currently we have these are the type of triggers. So for example, a trigger could be um, a for example, a reader event. I can have access granted um, on a specific reader by a specific user, activate a certain action plan that I choose down here. Or I can even have things for the reader. We also have a function called triple swipe. So you can have triple swipe, meaning that you would swipe your card 3 times, and you can choose either any readers or a specific reader. And you can also have only selected users within the system uh, invoking that triple swipe function, again, to run a customized action. I mentioned things like uh, panic button. So if you have a panic button, the way you set it up is the panic button would be tied to an input in VAX, and you can have that input, the panic button, in an activated state, and you can choose your input. And then again, you can have a panic button set up to run a specific action as well. So you can see action plans and action triggers is a very powerful tool in VAX to customize different actions that you want to occur. So these are the key features, new features of the VAX software, of the things that you can do with the mobile is to be able to see different sites, choose your doors and do an override function. For example, you can unlock or set the door to lock. You can also see different door notifications, and then you can run specific action plans that are programmed into VAX. Again, I apologize for that technical difficulty, but maybe we'll take an opportunity at another time to show you that live. All right, so that concludes our presentation for the VAX, again, upcoming 2.9.92. And now there's a lot of different smaller features that's included in the software, but I would say that these are the main features of the software. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and take questions. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and post your questions on the questions box here. All right. While I'm waiting some questions, I've had some people ask me before. First of all, in terms of the software itself, when will it be available? So we're working on right now. We're in a beta state, and we're testing the software right now. And I'd say probably within a month or so, we'll have a release. In terms of who is able to use the software. So if you currently run VAX and you have VAX license, then you're able to update your software anytime. And once the software is available, you can go to our website and you can um, download that. I have a question here about plans to be able to do Mercury boards. All right, so currently VAX, we have our own door panels, and people have asked, are we able to use other panels, for example, like Mercury panels for VAX? And that's currently in development. We will be able to at some point in the future run your software and import panels from other system. Not only Mercury, I know Mercury is a big one out there, but we're working on integrating with other manufacturers' panels as well. And thank you for that question. I have another question here. It says, how does the door time zone different from the door and standard time zone with other doors? So again, the door time zone is the schedule that you set for a door. For example, if you set a door for card access, always card access, that's called the door time zone. You can customize the door time zone for any kind of schedule, 9 to 5, not only card only, but you can also have things like card and pin if you have a pin pad reader, or just pin pad reader only. So you can set, again, the schedule to different conditions for the doors. That's called the door time zone in VAX. Let me see, I have another question here. It mentioned that VAX Live Camera works with other VMS. Do you guys have a list of the ones that works with? Yes. So in terms of VMSs, VAX works with Milestone, Digital Watchdog, Hike Vision, Exact Vision. So these are other VMSs that we work with. And again, the integration is a free integration. So we don't charge for that integration in VAX. In VAX itself, you're able to um, add that camera system and associate those cameras to your doors. And not only can you add one camera system, but you can add multiple camera systems to VAX. For example, like if you have each building has their own VMS system, each building would be associated to a partition in VAX. And in VAX, you would program a specific camera system for a specific partition. Okay, well, if there's not any other questions, feel free, right now, if you don't have questions now, you can feel free to send us questions later on, and we'll reply. I'll get back to you. Let's see. Let's see. Another question here. How many different individual people can send alert to a door or type of alert? One person, another type of alert to another person. So yes. So again, you can program in VAX, as I mentioned, with the notification settings to have these specific email events, sent to, in a specific administrator, or you can have it sent to many individuals at the same time, anybody who logs in. And you can program that alert by user per user basis. I have a question here about elevator control. How does VAX handle elevator control, and can elevator events be used with push notifications? Yes. So elevator control, first of all, VAX does do elevator controls through I/O panels, and same uh, rule applies for notification settings. So you can set a notification setting for specific elevator events. For example, like if someone is going to a certain floor, or they're swiping a card to go to a certain floor, or anything that's related to elevators within VAX, you can have that as an event, and you can have that customized as a push notification. Okay, I think that'll be it. Again, if we didn't get to your questions, please feel free to send us your questions, and we'll get back to you. And that concludes our webinar for today. And thank you very much for attending. And we look forward to talking to you again in the near future.